Alrighty, so new week. Last week we did gaming week, and that was talking about games, how what they do for us and to us, and how uh, essentially making a game is kind of like making your own world, right? That you get to make uh, your own universe, and when people play that, they get to practice things that you couldn't really practice in this world, at least not safely, right? And so you get to learn and grow and develop, but that leads to something. That leads to you being highly competent, and once you have those abilities, you can use them in the real world. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. About how some people try to reshape the world in their own image. And it's very similar to what people do with video games. But this is not gaming week anymore, right? This is politician week. So we're going to be talking about politicians. Why do they do what they do and stuff like that. So we are talking about politicians, and fundamentally, the story that always gets told, whether you believe it or not, right? It always gets told is that politicians want to make the world a better place. That's why they go into politics, right? There's the people who say, yeah, politicians are just in it for the power. Sure, we'll get to that later. But the valid reason, the good reason to get into politics is to make the world a better place, to take this world and all of its problems and say, hey, that's a problem. Let's see what we can do to fix it, right? Gather up all the people, create a policy, change society just that little bit, and then run things out. See what happens. And you see, when you talk about it like that, it sounds a lot like a game, like almost like a simulation, right? Except the difference being that, this isn't a simulation. This is the real world. And so when politicians do this and let things play out, there's real consequences. And so essentially, politicians are doing the same things that people playing games do, except they do it with real stakes, with real people and real lives, right? And so, higher consequences. You've got to make sure you get it right. And so the reason to become a politician is because you see a whole bunch of other people where, yeah, they're trying to make the world a better place, but they're doing it wrong, right? But you see different. You see something they don't. You've practiced and run these simulations and these experiments in your head, in the real world. You experience stuff, and now you say, oh, it's just this. People don't see this issue, and they don't understand the real motivations going on. And so if they did, then they could make better policies. They could shape society in a better way, and then we would have a better result. But this is the issue. Reshaping society. You are acting like you're taking a mound of clay and you're using your effort, your force, to make it look like something that you want. But we're not talking about some inanimate object. Society sounds like an inanimate object, but it's not. Society is just a group of people. And people are individuals with their own thoughts and ideas, desires, free will. And so, when you say you want to reshape society, that you just want to have these policies so that way everything moves smoother and in a direction that's desirable. Well, desirable to who? You? Because inevitably, there's going to be someone who disagrees. There's far too many people in the world for everyone to agree on anything. Like, it doesn't matter what you think everyone should agree on. There's going to be people who disagree. So are you going to have society cater to this person or that person? We obviously don't cater society to the murderer or the larcenist or the arsonist. Those are all seen as bad things, as they should be. I mean, I'm not talking about that, but I'm just saying, when you have this idea that society should follow what a politician says, because the politician's job is to shape the lives of actual people, you've already lost the plot. You've already lost the whole point of this. Because if you want society to get better, society is not a lump of clay. Society is people. So you can try to make each individual person better. That makes sense. That's logical. But there's no way you, a single person, can make this massive group of people just better, right? That doesn't work. Life doesn't work that way. Because in the video game, yeah, you can create laws and you can make things happen in a certain way. And you can tweak them and write different code and say, yes, this is the rule, and I don't like that rule. I'm going to change it. Now this is the rule, right? But we're not talking about programs here. We're talking about people. You can't tell them what to do all the time, every time. They're going to disagree. They're going to have their own reasoning. They're going to do something against what you say. And now if you're a mature person and you say, hey, it doesn't always have to be my way. I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to figure things out. Well, maybe that's not a big deal for you, right? That people aren't always going to do things your way, right? Because, negotiating is part of being an adult. When you're an adult, yeah, there's some give and take. You don't always get things your way, but you fight hard enough and you sometimes get things your way. And that's good enough. But for politicians, their job is to never say it's good enough. Maybe in the past they were more willing to negotiate and have a middle ground and all that stuff, but now, when was the last time we saw that? When was the last time we saw a politician, have a debate and say at the end of it, I see your point. I don't agree like 100%, but there's definitely something I learned from this, and maybe I'm going to rethink some of the things I support. Like, never. When was the last time you heard that, right? And that's what being a politician is. The reason they're a politician is because what they are trying to do is not make society better. They're trying to make society reflect who they are. That way, they'll feel more comfortable in it. But even more than that, it's not merely that they want society to be more like them. There's plenty of people who want that, and they don't run for office. The thing is, they want to be the one who does it. You see, the reason someone becomes a game designer instead of just a game player is because they want to be the one that creates the world. It's fun to experience different worlds and have fun and engaging time with them, and see some new aspect of our world shown in a new light, and that's fun. But it's a different kind of fun when you do it yourself, when it's your world, when you can reshape things the way you would like them to be. And you see, that is the draw of being a politician. In the same way, not everyone who likes games becomes a game designer. Not everyone who wants to change the world becomes a politician. Because the politician wants to play that role of God. They want to be the savior. They want to fix the world themselves. They want to be applauded and revered and worshipped. And you see, that is the reason to be a politician, is to be worshipped, to be applauded, to have all of these accolades, etc., heaped upon you. Because it's one thing to work on something and try to make something happen. It's another thing when you say, no, I'm not going to be on the ground floor. I'm not going to do the grunt work. I am going to be that big brain person that says, oh, I know exactly how things should go. Just follow me and everything will work out fine. Because that's what politicians do. They don't go on the ground floor, do the grunt work, and actually get something done. They don't do that. That's not what they're about. That's not what they're for. What they're for is for sitting in a room, debating this and debating that, and more often than not, lately, ignoring what the debate said and just going with their gut. Doing what they think is right or wrong, regardless of what anyone else is saying. Because their job is not to make society better. Their job is to make society more palatable for them. And they are not us. And so, when life gets unpalatable for us, we say, the issue is not that they're dictating things from on high and we just have to take it. No, that's not the problem, because I like that idea. No, the problem was that we need some bigger brain individuals this time, right? We need someone with those galaxy brains that can just figure out all the side effects, all the consequences, and make those right choices. That can be that master craftsman that takes this clay of society and molds it into something good. But society is not clay. It's not code. It's people. And when you don't treat people like people, as we've talked about in past weeks, when you don't treat people like people, when you dehumanize them, treat them like an object, well, that's the beginnings of evil right there. And this is why, even when a politician has good intentions, and they really do want to make society better, their job is not to make society better, even if that's their desired outcome, because their method is not to fix one person's problem. Their method is to fix everyone's problem all at once. But we're not all the same. You can't do that. You can't just flip a switch and turn a knob and pull a lever and say, hey, society's fixed. You can't just write a law and make all the bad things go away. Because people are people. not objects, not clay, not programs, people. And that's what we're going to be talking about this whole week, is politicians. Because you got to feel bad for politicians. They get suckered in to being some of the most evil people on the face of the earth. I mean, think about how many evil people, think of three evil people on the top of your head, and they're probably head of some state at some point in history, or some major politician or influential political figure. And yeah, that's just how it goes. That just name the most evil people you can think of, and they probably had a lot to do with politics. And that's precisely because of this. Because they are trying to do it all themselves. They have a whole bunch of people around to help them and build something together, but they say, no, I want the credit. So I'm just going to enforce a rule on you, and that way you can live the way I want you to. And if we run that simulation enough, maybe, just maybe, things will get better. But that's not respecting humanity. And that's why it's wrong. Not because of this or that intention, because yeah, of course there's people with bad intentions everywhere. But the reason it doesn't work, even when they're good, even when their intentions are good and they really want to make things better, it's because it's one thing to act like a god making a game, making a fake world. It's a whole nother thing when you try to play God with real people. Because there is a God in this world, and you ain't it.